What's up everyone, Alex here. Today we're going to be looking at mapping controls on Dolphin. I'm going to be using Dolphin MMJR, so a few things of this are going to be specific to MMJR, but a lot of this should translate to other forks as well. We're going to be looking at mapping controls to GameCube and Wii, and how we're going to set up controls per game if necessary. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off by pressing the three dots up here and pressing GameCube Input, and we're going to have a look at controller 1. You can obviously do several controllers, but we're only going to need one. I do believe the GameCube adapter is if you're going to be using a real GameCube controller, which we're not going to do, so I'm going to stick to emulated. And here we can see all the buttons on a GameCube controller we'd need to map, and it's relatively simple from here. You just press one of the buttons. You can either press it with your finger or tap, well, for me it's circle with my new circle button, but yeah, and I would select an input where I would want A to be. So you just imagine the GameCube controller in your head, or you look at a picture online or something. So I would imagine it being A, B, X, Y. So I'd select A here. But if you were going to map things a certain way for whatever reason, you could just put A wherever you like. You could put it on a shoulder button if you like. And you can set up controllers any way you like, which is very useful for particular games. So you just go through each button here. Z would be about where you would think the Z button would be, and so on. We get down to control stick, and obviously that's your left stick, but sometimes I even map that to the D-pad because I find that more comfortable on this device. The C stick is your right stick. The triggers, so I would set L and R to these two. Now on the Retroid Pocket 3 and the 3 Plus, these are both digital inputs, so there's no analog movement. You see, what we'd have to do in certain games on the GameCube would actually have an analog input. So maybe a driving game, a certain amount of push would accelerate the car or something. But since we have like no way to do all that, we're just going to have them as binary inputs. So we just set L to L and R to R. And then finally we have the D-pad. And rumble, it's just, we don't have to bother with that. It's just going to be on if it's set on. And that's just GameCube, and that's just the simplest one to set up because it's very unlikely you'll need to change the buttons for that. So, and this is a global profile, so this will work on every GameCube game you open, and we'll do the exact same thing with the Wii controller. So for the Wii controller, we're going to tap the three dots again, go to Wii Input. Now the Wii's a little different and you have to use your imagination a little bit more, but for the global profile we're going to keep things relatively simple. So we don't have to have an extension on if we don't need it, but we will do that. The A button, so when we're thinking of a Wii controller, and I wish I had one on hand now to kind of imagine this, but you know, you imagine holding it in your right hand and you remember the A button being on the top and the B button being on behind. So what I would typically do, in this case, I've set the A button to the right here, and then the B button as my shoulder button. Now imagine holding it as a Wii Remote, which is going to be helpful for like most games. And then we just go through some more of the buttons. So here we have button 1 is over here. I've set button 2 here, and that's useful because whenever we have to put the Wii Remote on its side for games that only use the D-pad and the 1 and 2 buttons, now I can control it like this is move and this is jump and run or whatever the game would do. Plus and minus, so your start and select buttons, I would put them up the top here. We're not going to bother with the home button, but you can use that if you like for whatever reason. The IR is the infrared, so this is literally holding the remote forward and pointing at the screen, so like you're aiming it and clicking at things. And I typically set that on the right stick, so I would select up and just do up on the right stick and do every direction with the right stick there. So whenever I'm playing a game and there's a pointer on the screen and I need to move it around, I can choose to use the right stick to move that around, and that basically treats it more like a camera, like a first-person shooter. That depends on the game, but this is a global profile, so we're keeping things simple for now. Not even going to bother with any of these motion controls because those are usually dependent on the game, and there's only so many inputs we have on the device. We don't want to get too complicated for now. A shake button, so I've put my shake button, I think, here. So I've selected every angle of the shake and stuck it on one button, and you can hold that button and it will simulate just the Wii Remote doing a shake, which can be pretty handy for most games. The D-pad is just every direction on the D-pad here, And this is specific to MMJR. I've not seen this in MMJR 2 or Dolphin for handheld, but sideways toggle. So I've set this so that this is on the right stick and upright toggle is on the left stick. So what happens is if I press sideways toggle, the Wii Remote is now going to go sideways permanently. And the same deal for upright toggle. It will go straight up permanently. And that can be really useful for some games. So, for example, if I was playing New Super Mario Bros. On the Wii, and I want to play it as intended, sideways as a platformer, I would start the game, I would press sideways toggle, so I'd click that in, and then I'd be good to go. It's just handy. I quite like that. It's a feature I wish was in the other forks of Dolphin, but they're just not there. So, I meant to go back to the top, but here we have extension. If we click extension, we can change the controls for different extensions. So classically, the nunchuck is the one we're going to be using the most. Classic is the classic controller, which is the small controller, which looks like, well, would basically look similar to that, with your L and R buttons and all your face buttons as well. So if we were going to do inputs for those, it's very simple. You would just set that exactly like you would as a controller. There's really not much explanation to do here. Just very simple. So then whenever you need to select that as your input, it's good to go. You probably would not need to change that for any reason, so you would just get that out of the way. The nunchuck, now I've set this so again, imagine a nunchuck is your control stick and two buttons. So I put C and Z on these two buttons here. The stick itself is just the inputs on the left stick. I haven't done any motion controls here, except for shake. And shake I've set to, I think, R trigger for this. Yeah, so X, Y, and Z I've just put on R for some reason. So when I casually play any Wii game and I don't think about controls, I've got A and B, I've got C and Z, I can move, I can point, I can shake with the Wii Remote, I can shake with the nunchuck, I can use the D-pad, we have the 1 and 2 buttons, and we have minus and plus. I know it gets a little bit complicated with the Wii. It gets more complicated when we do per game setups, but that's going to be personal. That's going to depend on how you want to play the game. So now we've looked at those. We've done configurations for every input we're probably going to need for every game. I guess the next thing we should do, there's two games I want to look at for these profiles. So I'm going to have a look at Metroid Prime 3, which doesn't run fantastic on the 3 Plus, but it's going to be a good example of things. And we're also going to have a look at Wii Sports Resort. So let's have a look at Metroid Prime 3. First of all, I need to show, some people ask about this. So when you select a game, you can either long press on the title or hold that what would be the A button on the game, and you'll go into the game's separate options. And here you can configure separate game settings or separate profiles. So I can go to Wii Input, emulated, and here I've set buttons differently to my global profile. So this means that these controls are specific to Metroid Prime 3, and these are all set up very differently. I'm not going to go into my settings for Metroid Prime 3 because I'll be here for a while, and I just want to demonstrate a few things. So I'm going to load the game. I have a save file somewhere where I can do something, and like the global profile, I can move around with the right stick. So this is the IR pointer. So this is you holding your remote, pointing it at the screen, and you're treating it like you're pointing the Wii Remote at the TV. And I can jump, I can shoot. I've set the shoot button to this button because I wanted to have the lock-on button on this trigger, because it's quite difficult to play games like this where you look and shoot, because using the stick is, you know, the camera doesn't stay where the pointer is going, it always reverts back. So by using the lock-on button, I can just lock onto enemies and jump and fire. It's an easy way to play this game. Not that I would play this game on the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, it is difficult. Now one thing I want to have a look at is when you go into the quick menu here, and it gets a little funny with this game. So I've mentioned you can use the touch screen as to simulate the pointing on the screen and pressing a button. So if I set it to click, now when I touch a certain point on the screen, it's going to follow my finger and go there. And if I was to double tap, if there was an input that was with that double tap where I point at the screen, then it would do something there as well. So basically, if I was to select an option on the UI, it would do that. We don't have to double tap, but in some cases you might. Another setting we have here is IR always back to center. So if I turn that off, now when I click somewhere, it's going to stay wherever my finger goes. And that can be really useful for whatever reason. And lastly, sorry for all this shakiness, and if I set the Emulate IR to stick and then set it to back to center, now I can move the finger like a control stick, and I let go and it's going to flick back to center. Obviously, if I turn the back to center option off, it would stay where my finger's going. So now you can play this more like, imagine Metroid Prime on the DS, and you can put the shoot button here and treat it more like that. The range of motion isn't fantastic, but we're going to have a look at that in a second. So going back into this quick menu, if we go all the way to the bottom, these are specific to Wii games, and some of these games you're going to have to change this. So with Metroid Prime 3, I have pitch and yaw set to 15 and vertical offset to 2. Let's start with vertical offset. So this is basically where your pointer is going to lie in the middle of the screen, or what you think is the middle of the screen. If I set this up to, say, 29, then it's going to think that my pointer is resting at a position that is now off screen. So I originally set it at 2. If I put it closer to the 2 figure, so let's say 7, now it's resting just below the middle. So basically in some games you're going to have to try and find the sweet spot of where you think the pointer is going to lie. It's a bit different in different games. So for some reason having it at 2 is dead center here. If I set it to 0, it's going to be slightly above the center. So you have to experiment with that and try and find where the center is. In this game, I found it to be at 2. So now when I'm like playing the game, you see that my range of motion with this controller basically hits every edge of the screen. If I go to quick config and change this, so let's say I set these figures down to just quite low, about 3 and 2. Now when I move the stick, the range of motion is really small. So you can experiment with that and change how much you want that to go. You can have it extremely sensitive, so only a little push can make it go all the way. I can show that as well. So if we set these really, really high, then even the slightest push is just going to make the stick go. And if you have it too high, it's going to kind of bug out and not work very well. So again, with Metroid Prime, I found the sweet spot to be around 15. I would like to set these before I finish this video, otherwise I probably will forget. Even though I can just watch the video back. There we go, perfect. I don't think there's anything else I want to show off in this game in particular, but like I said, you can use the touch screen if you like. At the moment it's set to stick. If I change it to click, it'll be where I touch on the screen. And I suppose I could test something else in this game. If you press the 3 dots up here, we got some other controls whilst we're in game. And one of them that might be important to you is sensor emulation. Now, the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus has a gyroscope inside it, which we can use to emulate some of the sensors in this game. So I could, for example, and when you pick one of these, you need to hold it steady, otherwise, because it's kind of going to calibrate for a moment. So if I pick IR and back out, I'll keep it steady for a moment. And now, when I move the entire device, it's going to simulate, well, it should simulate different directions of the IR. And I can set that to other functions of the sensors as well. I can change that from IR to tilt, swing, but in this particular game, there's not really anything else I can show off for now. So I think that's a good explanation of those different settings in this game. Now we're going to have a look at now we're going to have a look at Wii Sports Resort. Now obviously this is a Nintendo game and they demonstrate their motion settings a lot better than most other games. So this is going to be a difficult one to explain because this is one where, so we're going to long press into the game and go to Wii Input. And so I think the best way to explain this, if you want to go about setting the buttons for a particular game, I actually find it quite useful to go online and try and look up a manual or just a page that explains the controls for that game, and then just try and imagine those controls as you're looking at them and map them over to this into the emulator. So Wii Sports Resort's kind of a bad one because it uses there's like 7 different games. There's loads of different games, all with different functionalities. And it's better to try and set these buttons just for like one game in particular. But I'm crazy and I try to like set everything for this one game. So, and I can't remember all these button numbers. So I think A is down here and B is still on the trigger. So we're keeping it like a Wii Remote. We've got minus and plus for, you know, the minus and pause buttons. I was trying to say start and select, but I didn't want to confuse everyone. It doesn't seem like we need to use 1 and 2 in this game. So I looked that up and I thought, okay, I don't think any game uses 1 and 2. We've set the IR to looking around on the right stick still. That's still set up that way. But we've set up swing to also use the right stick as well, because not all games use everything at the same time. So in this game, the swing is also the IR. And I'll explain this now actually. So down here we have sideways and upright toggle. I've set upright toggle to this button and sideways toggle to this button in this case. At least I think I did. Wait a minute. So if I set it to upright toggle, it's most likely that I'm going to be using swing motions. But if I turn off upright toggle, so now we're aiming it forward, it's more likely I'm going to use IR. This is very confusing. Okay, but I'm trying to explain it as best as I can. And then for swing, I've also set forward motion to right stick click and backward to left stick click. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to need those. Now tilt. So tilt is basically tilt forward, tilt back, and then tilt left and tilt right, which is different to swing. And I've set all of those to the D-pad, so different directions of the D-pad. And the shake button, in this case, I've set all the shake motions to the right trigger. I've also set the D-pad to where tilt is as well, because in some of these games it's unlikely we're going to be using both at the same time. And the way the D-pad is used is just a digital input, so it's most likely we're only going to tap it once, and that's not going to affect our gameplay very much. So sideways toggle and upright toggle are going to be important for Wii Sports Resort. This is so complicated, man. I feel like I should have used several games to explain all this stuff, but I thought by using one game that does everything, I would explain it all easier. And then we're going to go to extension nunchuck. So here, I don't remember if the C button's used, and I had a spare button here, so I set it to my left button on this side of the controller. And the Z button is where you'd think the Z button would be. The stick is just the stick. We're not using swing. Now, forwards and backwards, I have set these to the left stick as well, because those are only used in like 1 or 2 games, and it's a very specific way they're used, so I didn't think it would mess around with the movement. And then we've set shake. I've set shake to the L trigger here. So we've got shake. This is nunchuck shake, and this is Wii Remote shake. And I think that's every button I've set for Wii Sports Resort here. So that's saved. And what I've done is I've got lots of save states here, so I've been testing different games. This isn't a video on how to run Wii Sports Resort, but I've had to set it to OpenGL because if you set it to Vulkan, you get the black box problem where it's just a big black box in the corner. So I'm going to load the start, which is just this menu here. Gosh, Wii Sports Resort is very shiny. That's what I'm trying to say. So we've got all these different games here, and you can immediately start imagining all the different controls in your head. I said there were 7 games before, there's 12. That's a lot of games. And I've made some save states to some different games just to save some time. So the first save state I have is the sword fighting. So the way I have things set up at the moment is the IR sensor is for the touchscreen. I can click, but I've not sent it to be the center, so I can just click where I want if I need to. And at the bottom here, these are the settings I've chose for the Wii Remote to work best, I think. So 12 was basically around where I thought the center would be, and then 10 and 10 for pitch and yaw seem to be decent for like the travel of the stick. The Wii Remote, sorry. So I'm just going to point this in the middle here and tap the A button. And now in this game, I'm using the right stick as my swing motions. So in this game, you also have to hold B if you want to guard. I can let go of that and just start swinging like crazy. Now, I'm not saying that you should play Wii Sports Resort on your Retroid Pocket. I'm not saying that. I'm just demonstrating the different controls, and this is a really good game to demonstrate that. But it's pretty playable. So if I move, oh, never mind. I'll just start this. So on the D-pad, I have my tilt. I don't know if this game is going to show that off very well, but you can see, I think it's because of where my control is pointed, but I know you can tilt the wrist of your sword, and it's not quite doing it. For some reason, wait, do I have upright toggle on? Sideways toggle off, upright toggle off. Okay, so now I'm turning left and right, and you can see the hilt is tilting left and right, and then I have up and down tilt. So it's pretty handy to have the sideways and the upright toggle on a different button, rather than like setting it in different options. Alright, let's just kill this guy. Yeah. So the next game we're going to have a look at is Archery. So it wants me to set the controller upright, so I have a button for that. I've set it upright. Now they want me to hold the A button to raise my bow. They want me to hold Z to draw the bow. Oops, I let go of Z. And then I can press the left stick to draw back the bow. Now I set that in the controls, so the left stick nunchuck to go backwards and forwards is with the left stick. And see, this is a game where I would customize these controls a little bit better. I'd put that A button somewhere else, because this is how I'm gonna have to fire the bow. I'm gonna have to hold A and Z and draw back, and then use the right stick to slightly aim, because that's our IR sensor. This video is stupid. I was getting perfect scores earlier when I was playing this, but and then all I have to do is let go of Z when I think I'm ready. So that'll do. I've got a couple of points. But yeah, in Archery in particular, you would set these buttons a little bit better, because it's a bit finicky to play it this way. I guess the other thing that I could do instead of use the right stick is use the touch screen. So I would hold A, draw back. Ugh. I let go of the trigger. and then I'd use the screen to aim, and then I'd let go of Z. That's what I'm trying to do. Ugh. But you get the point. 3. Let's look at a different game. Let's so I choose this one, this one, this one. This is cycling, and all you have to do in cycling is shake both controllers and turn with the tilt functions. So I can just press shake, 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 and I can use the D-pad to tilt and turn. And this is the easiest game to play so far. I mean, I guess if you really want to, you could go to sensor emulation and put it on Wii Shake, and then you could just keep shaking your controller to try and move. Oh, but you only have like one pedal, so you can't set it to nunchuck and Wii. Oh, not joystick emulation. See, if you could set it to Wii Shake and Nunchuck Shake, then you could just shake the swing violently to go. Why is it looking at me sideways? How am I supposed to... Oh, there we go. Oh, that's funny, because you have to tilt to change the direction of your guy. But apparently the D-pad also changes the view, so I'd have to set those differently to play. If I wanted to sit here all day and play Wii Sports Resort Cycling, I'd have to change these buttons a little bit more. And the last save I made was for golf. Okay. So I can change the angle of the D-pad, pick a different iron. Let's go over driver. We've got the wind against us. When I'm ready, I press B. Why does it not want me to do that? Okay, now it's gonna let me. I don't know what is going on. Okay. So then if I if I want to hit this, I have to hold A to get ready to swing. But the right stick's my swing, and it does not work very well. So I'm just gonna hold A, and I'm just gonna just flick it apparently. Oh, my triangle button's gone funny. Because of the way I installed it, it's only got one leg inside to hold it in place. Oh, I hit that really far. That's pretty cool. So, right, B to go, A. Hey, I'm not doing too bad. Although these controls are pretty crazy for this game, but it's somewhat functional. Okay. Okay, there's a bit of a tilt. I'm ready. I hold A. Oh, I thought I was gonna get it. That would have been so cool. Okay, I guess it's kind of straight. I'm ready. I go. This is pretty funny. Ready? Go. Okay. Oh shit, that was really... That's so funny. Okay, I'm gonna go to my first save file now, because this is where all the games are. I did check out table tennis. Ooh. Why is it being funny? Stop it. Table tennis. Disconnect the extension. Okay, so what I have to do here, I have to press this controller icon up here. Ah. I can't today. And it's set to horizontal Wii Remote, so that should be working, but we press reload config, and then it's just gonna make sure that actually it is set up without an extension inside. I'm gonna pick a derpy character. I'm right-handed. I don't know if that matters. And now we're inside table tennis. Press A and B together. And Cole wants to kick our ass. So I press A to get, let's just center that so it's ready to go. I can tilt the paddle left and right. I can even tilt it up and down. And then I can use the stick as my swing function. Damn, we just owned Cole. What is this drum and bass music with table tennis? Oh no, I sort of pushed it forward and I should have pushed it left. This is so good. Oh, just inside. No, Cole beat me. Right, well, that's table tennis. Let's have a look at one more game. God, I don't know how the controls are going to work. Canoeing, power cruising, air sports. I'm kind of intrigued by Frisbee. I feel like this is going to go very badly. Frisbee with a dog? I don't think I've ever actually played Wii Sports Resort on an actual Wii. Yeah, play it with a friend and pass this over to them every time. And they're like, oh, play Frisbee, okay. And you're like, no! How did they want us to play this game? Oh, look at that dog. Oh, do they want us... I don't know if they want us upright. Okay, A and B. The first step is to learn how to throw the Frisbee. Okay. Press B to take it. Hold it securely while pressing B to get in a throwing stance. Hold the Wii Remote horizontally and swing the arm back and take aim. Oh, not bad. Change the angle of the Frisbee to throw it in a curve. Oh, so I can use the tilt functions too. Take the Frisbee. So I can tilt. Oh, wow. Oh, did I just give it back to the dog? Okay, it doesn't like me tilting that much. Hold the Wii Remote securely and whoopah! Tilt the disc up a little, but these are binary movements. I suppose I could have tilt on here and be very gentle with it. Oh, wait, we can go absolutely crazy. Whoopah! Did that just go straight up in the air? Whoa! The dog has no idea. Like, where did you throw my Frisbee? That's funny. Yeah. Whoa. I knew Frisbee would be jokes. Look at go in the sea. Change the angle. This is crazy. This is really fun. And with that, I hope I hope I explained. Oh, no, this is perfect. We can totally do this. Okay, so if I go to sensor emulation and I change the Retroid to be the tilt, and then I keep it steady for a second, I'm going to take the Frisbee, and now, yes, now we are the tilt. And uh-oh. Oh no. And then I hold B, I hold it back, and then no. This is just getting crazy. Okay, point the Wii Remote. Yeah. Take the Frisbee. We're gonna tilt it a bit. And then oh, there was some curve to it. There was some actual curve. Alright, point at the screen. No. Wait, do I have to tilt? Oh, did I? Maybe it's because I set it to upright. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, I just want to get one last good throw where, okay, so put it in tilt. And we're going to tilt this bad boy. Maybe like, I don't know. Like, it's difficult. Maybe like this. And then we're going to throw it. Now I don't know how to throw this. Whoa. Okay, I give up. But you pretty much get the point. I don't think there's anything else I can explain to you about setting up controllers. Only that maybe I can show you one more game where this is going to be useful. So let's have a look at Pandora's Tower. So Pandora's Tower is a game that uses the classic controller. And when you're in game, connect a nunchuck or classic controller to the Wii Remote. So I can press this button up here. It's already set to classic control in this game, but I'm going to reload the config. Now the game is going to play as if it's a classic controller. And this will just be regular controls that you're used to. We already set the classic controller in the global profile, so this is going to work as intended. It's even going to show the correct inputs. So those are classic controller inputs. So we definitely know that it is a classic controller. And I just wanted to show that so you know how to load a classic controller profile. When it's usually, if it's a GameCube game, it's going to be a GameCube controller. Sometimes, and usually with a Wii game, when it can use a game controller, it will by default pick GameCube controller, but you can press here just in case if you need to do that. And with that, I think we've covered everything. So, excuse me, this was meant to be quite a simple video about setting up controls. It got a bit out of hand. We looked at some crazy Wii functions in Wii Sports Resort, and well, I hope that was useful or at least entertaining. But if you like that video, please give it a like, hit that bell icon and subscribe for more content. And I'll be back soon with another video, and have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye bye.